a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest is somebody I met when he interviewed me. So I figure, turnabout, as they say. He is a reporter at the AbbyNews, right?
No, I'm the editor of the Fraser Valley Current.
Yes, yes, I was going to say that. But
I was an editor at Abbotsford News.
Okay, so he's currently the managing editor, right, at the Fraser Valley Current, and that's what we're going to talk about. His name is Tyler Olsen. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
So tell me about the Fraser Valley Current. When did it start and who began it? Who started it?
Right. So we launched it last March, I believe it was. I had left my previous job at Abbotsford News in December to come on and start this. It's based on a motto out of Victoria. There's a publication called Capital Daily there, and the people who launched that publication thought this is a model that we think can work other places. And at the same time, I was looking at maybe the next step in my career and thinking about what can be done to increase the quantity of quality journalism and do it on a local level in a place like the Fraser Valley.
Okay, great. No, that's a hard copy, right?
We have an email newsletter, which is not hard at all. I say that it's a newspaper that you can read without putting on your pants to get it in the morning, because it comes to your email inbox every morning around 7 in the morning.
Okay.
We have about 32,000 subscribers between Langley and Hope, and so it goes to everybody's inbox. It creates a very interesting dynamic too, because you have people able to just click the reply button, reply to you, and send me and us. I have two other reporters who work with me, their feedback and their thoughts, and so it becomes a dialogue like that.
Oh, really good. That's really good. And I think in my opinion, it's important to have some alternative out there other than what we usually see for local news or, Fraser Valley news, I guess you could say, right? So that's good. It's really nice that you and with you, like you said, the other reporters to have that going. So what do you see happening with it in the future? What are your hopes?
Right. So we're continuing to grow. We're continuing to do new things and try new things. Part of journalism is just it's kind of just a conveyor belt. You finish one edition and you got to get on it and do the next edition. So sometimes it's hard to look beyond that first or the next paper or newsletter as it is, and figure out what's coming down the pipe. But we do want to keep growing and expanding our audience, and also expanding the numbers of stories we do. The Valley is such a diverse place. There's a lot of stories to be told. I have a story list this long, and I can only get to this much. The more we grow, the more other reporters can come on, and the more other sorts of value we can add to the newsletter and the publication. We can expand our coverage of the arts, or we could expand our coverage of local sports, or what have you. But it's a resource question at the moment, where we feel this is the best place to be kind of spending our time at the moment, with an eye on growing ourselves, our audience, and then we need obviously the revenue that comes with that to allow us to grow as a team.
Now, the revenue, is that through advertising? Yeah,
we have advertisements and partnerships within the newsletter that are based on kind of the idea. You're bringing the audience to them. They are connecting with the audience, and that way. We also want to start in the new year, and this hopefully sooner rather than later, a membership program that wouldn't put the stuff that we currently do behind like a paywall or anything, but it would be a way to maybe add a little more for those people who are going to pay to keep us going and pay to help us grow, and create a little bit of a membership program there. So I'm excited about what that might mean and what that could look like. But there's a whole bunch of tech side of stuff that thankfully the people who are helping me with this can take care of most of those nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I hear you. So even though it's fairly new, has there been any surprises for you along the way so far?
I think the one biggest surprise has just been the amount of, and not necessarily the amount, but just like the how positive the feedback has been, and how like just that the willingness of readers to like come back, reach back to us and say, we really value what you're doing. Which may sound like, oh, I'm trying to toot my own horn, but it's like really surprising, because I was a newspaper reporter for 14 years. I was doing many of the same stories that I would be doing now, maybe a little bit different, maybe shorter back then. Maybe I have more ability to do longer pieces, but I was doing kind of the same sort of work. And the feedback, and I get it in person because I meet somebody and they might say, okay, I enjoy this or I enjoy that, but you wouldn't get that on a daily basis at a newspaper. I think just because the newspaper comes to your front door, and it's just, how do you have to like pick up the phone. That's awkward to call someone up, but in an email, you just, somebody will, oh, I like that, or I value this, and so that's really engaging, and that really keeps us like motivated to keep doing work.
Very good. Now, how do you determine who it is you're going to interview? Yeah,
so a big part of like figuring out what goes into the newsline, what goes into like just the stories that we cover, is we basically want to do like a main story each day. We have 5, we come out every weekday, so that's 5 weekdays, and then we cover a geographic area between Hope and Langley. So we want to make sure too we're covering stories within that region and not just all focused on, say, just Chilliwack or just Abbotsford. We also don't just want to do a certain type of story. Like we don't just want, like I really like data journalism that can explain the world in a larger way. But if we do that all the time, people get bored. Same thing if we just focus on like profiles of people, and then within those profiles of people, you want to have a diverse mix of people. You want people from different backgrounds and experiences that reflect the diversity of the valley. So that's kind of figuring out how all those pieces come together. And okay, we haven't profiled someone from Chilliwack who has experience in this realm, or someone maybe even like yourself. Like we haven't spoken to a senior who's doing something very interesting with their lives, or doing something very out of the box that people would be interested in. So.
Cool. Now, because you have to have 2 other reporters, how do you decide whose story is going to be featured on that any particular day?
Right. So we're lucky enough to like work on a longer timeline. So we're all working on stories at the same time, and they don't all come together in the same time. We try and space them out. So we have one big one each day, and then various other content. We have links to other news publication stories. We're sharing other content where we have like a little community event section. So there's a lot in the newsletter. That main story is kind of the thing that holds it together. And then deciding which one goes there is kind of the same process as deciding like what we're going to do. Is like, have we had a story pertaining to this field in a while, and trying to keep that mix interesting and surprising. So every time you open it up, you don't quite know what you're going to get, but hopefully you know you're going to get something interesting and maybe surprising in a new way.
Yeah, it is a fun thing to do, isn't it? Like, I mean, I do interviews, as you know, and I so enjoy finding out why people do what they do. Like, I just want to go back. Speaking of that, and why did you get into journalism to begin with?
Right. So I grew up in Vernon, in the Okanagan. And as a kid, I liked the idea of writing. Maybe I liked the idea of writing more than writing itself, but I did like the idea of writing, and then thinking about what maybe I would like to do as a career. I thought maybe I'd like to write, but you can't or maybe I'd like to write books or something, but you can't like go off and just become a book writer and make a living. And so I saw like lots of people who do end up going on to write books end up studying journalism. So at a very young age, I thought, oh, maybe journalism, that could be interesting. And the more I found out about it, the more interesting it did seem. So and just the more diverse, you learn about so many things. The job's all about learning, and then it's about sharing what you learned with people and kind of trying to like if you believe, as I do, that the more information we have about our communities helps us make better decisions about our lives, who governs us. You also see the value there. So all those things led me to the field, and I'm one of the ones from my age cohort that have stuck with it. There's not a lot, but yeah.
So how do you move from like being a reporter to becoming an editor?
Right. So that's partly we get back to like how the industry is set up, where when I entered in 2006, I started a small community newspaper in my hometown in Vernon, after I did 4 years of a school between there and Kamloops. And so when I started there was 11 people in the newsroom there. I was hired on as a part-time reporter, or not a full-time journalist, but I spent part of my time taking photos and part of my time writing. And then I had another side part of the job was to edit the business section, which is like put together the business section. And so that's what I did straight out of university. I did that for a couple of years. Took a year off to travel with my now wife, and then came back and eventually got a job in Chilliwack here at the Chilliwack Times. And then went through that. Just I was a reporter there, but as you're in a small newsroom, and that was only like a 4-person newsroom, you're doing all the jobs at the same time, kind of. You're proofing pages, you're laying out pages, maybe, maybe not so much in Chilliwack, but you're learning those skills. And so within a small community newsroom, you can have all the tools in your tool set to do that. And then basically I got moved over to Abbotsford after they consolidated the papers here, after a new company bought the Chilliwack Times. And so I was in Abbotsford for 4 or 5 years, and then at some point I thought, I think that we can do a form of journalism in a way that is both kind of provides value to readers in a certain way, but also provides a certain lasting quality to the reporters, because I was noticing that there were a lot of journalists like me leaving the profession, and I was seeing it myself, that the job, the sense of fun was maybe not, the sense of interest maybe wasn't there anymore. I think that that's important too. If we don't create a work environment and produce stuff that we see as valuable, then people will leave journalism for jobs that pay better, are less stressful, are more institutional, have better long-term security. So I think that was important.
So now that you're with the editor with the Fraser Valley Current, do you find the job less stressful than your previous jobs? Or more?
There's more to do. There's more stress. It's one of those weird things though, where if you have control over the direction your thing is going, and if you're growing too in a way, it mitigates some of those things. But you're right, like there are always trade-offs in any job. More responsibility, more stress, but then that counteracts with anybody who's worked a job in which they've been at the lower end of the ladder. There are also stressors that come with being subject to the whims of other people, being kind of not having control over certain aspects.
Right. Wouldn't you say like the best thing about doing whatever kind of job is when you're doing something you really enjoy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're doing something you really enjoy, and as like continuing to have that variation, because anything you do gets boring unless you keep it fresh and new, and that's one of the challenges I think we all have.
Very good. Yeah. Did you ever consider doing something other than journalism?
Not really. No. When I started, like I was pretty focused on being a journalist, like at the start of university, and then once I commit to that path, like I didn't have a ton of money or time to like spend figuring things out. I figured things out, and then I was in the journalism path. And then once I'm in journalism, I'm sticking with it. I've got the tools. I've learned the thing. I have the degree. I'm not going to go do something else now. I'm kind of committed. So then since then, lots of people, as I mentioned in my field, have gone off to be like communications people for especially various government but also in the private sector. And that just hasn't, I've seen the appeal of it, and there have been moments where I'm like, oh, that would sound good. But then as long as there are options in journalism, I'm probably going to stick with it for a while longer.
Very good. Yeah. No, I know that all people have to do to find it is to Google it, right? Because I did that to check it out. If you want to contact or become a subscriber, which I'm sure you'd be happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's free. Just go to fvcurrent.com. fvcurrent.com. You can Google Fraser Valley Current, and then there's a little form there.
Yeah.
And you type in your email address, and it should sign you up right away. Sometimes there's a little, you'll get a weird screen, but don't worry about that. And then it'll just come to your email inbox every weekday morning. It's free, and then you can unsubscribe, but there's a little thing at the bottom if you get tired of it, or yeah. And
if somebody wanted you or one of the other reporters to interview them for something, could they do it that same way?
Yeah, well, they could just contact us directly. Well, they can either just reply to the newsletter if they get it, or you can email us at contact@fvcurrent.com, and then get in touch. We're happy to learn about community events. We have a little community event section in there. And then whatever else comes up. We had a guy email us out of the blue the other day about a local airline just apparently closing down. Nobody had heard about that, and so that's kind of how, as a journalist, you learn about things in the community is by people telling you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming here and doing that.
Thank you. This was great.
And thank you all for watching. You've been listening to Tyler Olsen, and remember, he's the managing editor at the Fraser Valley Current, which you can subscribe to or give some feedback. But it's really nice and simple. I haven't done it yet. I said it was simple. I haven't done it yet, but I will, because why not, right? It's kind of fun. Thank you all for watching the show. I really appreciate that. And take care, be nice, and be so. Now I got to find the off button. I say this almost every.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.